The evening bus rolls slowly through the dark streets of the city. I sit by the window, looking at the twinkling lights. As the bus stops, I notice a new passenger, a girl with long blonde hair and blue eyes, who gets inside and sits down nearby. Her look awakens something new, unknown in me. We both try not to look at each other, but sometimes our eyes accidentally cross. It's a strange feeling, as if we've known each other for a long time, although I'm sure I'm seeing her for the first time. The next morning, standing at the same bus stop, I notice her again. She stands a little away, slightly wrapped in her scarf, and gives me a quick glance. Is this a coincidence? This time I decide to make the first move. As she gets on the bus and stops next to me, I ask if she takes this route often. She smiles but does not answer immediately, as if thinking about my question. That smile looks familiar. She nervously explains that she lives nearby and goes to another school. We discuss our city, the bus route, and how sometimes you can feel lonely even in such a big city. Her name is Katie. I'm amazed at how easily we find a common language, even though we were strangers just a few minutes ago. When she gets off at her stop, I'm left thinking I wish I could see her again. A few days later, when I go to my favorite coffee shop, I accidentally come across it again. She is sitting by the window with a cup of coffee and is enthusiastically reading a book. I stop for a moment, hesitating, but eventually I approach. She lifts her head and smiles when she sees me. We exchange jokes about how often coincidence brings us together. Her voice is so warm and every word sounds special. On Saturday afternoon, walking through the city center, I unexpectedly see her again. She examines the bookstore window, her face glowing with delight. I go over and say hello, and we start talking about the books she likes. Katie talks about her favorite book with such passion that I can't tear myself away from her words. Her eyes are shining, and in that moment, I realize that I wish I could spend more time with her. We decide to continue the walk together. We walk along narrow streets, looking at old houses and listening to each other's stories about childhood. These moments feel so special. A few weeks after our meetings, Katie invites me to a contemporary art exhibition. I'm late because of the traffic, and when I arrive, I see her a little upset, standing alone at the entrance. I try to explain the situation, but she just smiles slightly and says, "It's okay." We enter the gallery, but I can sense her slight disappointment. Internally, I promise myself that I will not be late for our meetings again. After the exhibition, I invite Katie to drink coffee in a nearby cafe. She agrees, and sitting at a small table, we exchange honest words. I confess that I have not been so attached to someone for a long time. Katie smiles, saying that she hasn't felt that connection in a long time either. Her words are warm. We both feel that this is not just a casual acquaintance, but something more. A few weeks later, after school, we meet in the square, but suddenly it starts to rain. I take off my jacket and throw it over her shoulders. She laughs, and we decide to walk in the rain. We walk under the same umbrella, discussing our dreams and the future. At this moment, everything around seems unattainable. Only us and this rainy evening remain. When the rain subsides, I invite her to dance under the stars. We stand in the middle of the square, a little awkward, but then we laugh and hug as if we are the only people in the world. Next weekend, we decide to spend the day in a big park outside the city. Autumn leaves cover the paths in gold and crimson colors, and sunlight breaks through the branches of the trees, creating a cozy pattern on the ground. Katie walks by, enjoying the view, and I feel like this is a really special day for both of us. We sit down on a bench under an old oak tree, and while looking up at the yellow burnt leaves, Katie begins to share with me her dreams for the future, her plans and desires that she previously kept to herself. Her words are full of hope and warmth, and I listen, feeling how every sentence she says brings me even closer to her. I want to tell her about my own fears and hopes, so I start talking about things I usually keep to myself, feeling my trust in Katie grow with each word. She listens carefully, and for the first time in a long time, I feel understood. After a while, I notice that Katie becomes a little quieter, as if something is bothering her. I decide to ask her about it, and after a few moments of hesitation, she admits that she is going through a difficult time because of her academic success and the expectations of her family. Her eyes look away for a moment, and I can see how hard it is for her to talk about it. Katie talks about her doubts, and I try to help her feel confident by telling her that she is extremely talented and can achieve anything she sets her mind to. She smiles, although I can see that she still needs time to overcome this inner fear. On one of the autumn evenings, we decide to take a walk along the embankment that stretches along the river, which reflects the night lights of the city. I tell her about my best childhood memories, how my father taught me to ride a bike, and how my friends and I would run to the river in the summer to swim and fish. Katie laughs as she talks about her yard friends and those carefree days when it seemed like the world was endless and there was only a bright future ahead. We share stories, forgetting everything in the world, and it seems that this evening could last forever. Feeling that words are superfluous, I suddenly stop and, leaning closer, touch her forehead with my lips. She looks at me a little surprised, but a warm smile appears in her eyes, as if she expected it. Not daring to say a word, I just stand next to her, feeling her hand lightly touch mine. This silence seems like the most precious thing we have right now, and I know this moment will stay with me forever. A few weeks later, when we set up another meeting, I can't make it on time because of an unexpected test, and I see Katie leave looking disappointed. I catch up with her, but she seems alarmed, turning away and saying that she always worries when I'm late. We figure out the relationship, and I try to explain that it was a coincidence, but her words reveal the real reason. She is afraid that for me, our meetings are less important. This moment is full of misunderstanding, and I can't understand how things changed so quickly. The next morning, after our argument, I text Katie asking to meet at a small coffee shop where we hang out often. I'm sitting at the table wondering if she will come, when suddenly I see her at the door. She approaches slowly, her face calm but slightly tense. When she sits opposite me, I realize how important it is for me to explain everything to the end, so looking into her eyes, I sincerely apologize for yesterday's misunderstanding. Her eyes remain serious, but I can see that she is listening with deep attention. Katie admits that her excitement stemmed from her own fears of losing what they had. She explains that sometimes it's hard for her to believe that this feeling is real, but she also understands that she doesn't want to lose that closeness. Her confession moves me, and I gently take her hand, feeling the warmth of her fingers soothe my anxieties. The new year is approaching, and we decide to spend it together at a festive fair in the city center, where every corner is full of lights and joy. There is a big Christmas tree in the square, covered with shiny decorations, and a festive atmosphere reigns around, which seems even a little magical. Katie walks over to the hot chocolate counter and laughs as she invites me to try her drink. We are standing by the lights, and her smile is so bright that I catch myself thinking how much she has changed my life in these few months. As midnight approaches, we stand together, waiting for the New Year's chimes to start ringing. The square fills with voices and laughter as everyone counts down the final seconds, and as the new year dawns, I lean in and plant a soft kiss on Katie's lips. In a few weeks, I'm preparing a surprise for Katie for her birthday, a small picnic in the winter park, bringing her favorite treats and a warm blanket. When she arrives, her face lights up with surprise, and I can feel our celebration becoming a special moment for both of us. We sit together on the rug, wrapped in a blanket, and I give her a small book with her favorite poems. Her eyes fill with light, and she thanks me, hugging me tighter than ever before. One day, while walking after school, we unexpectedly start a conversation about the future, about plans, dreams, about how each of us imagines our life. Katie admits that she dreams of traveling the world, seeing new cities and cultural attractions, as well as feeling truly free. I promise her that when we graduate, we will be able to make many of her wishes come true, even if it takes time. She smiles, and her hand touches mine as a promise that this connection will remain strong in adulthood. She hugs me, and we stand looking at the evening city, realizing that there are still many difficulties ahead, but at the same time feeling confident in our abilities, and that our future should be shared. One day, Katie calls me with a worried voice and asks to meet in a park nearby. When I run over, I see that she looks upset and her eyes are full of anxiety. We sit down on the bench and I wait patiently for her to work up the courage to share what's bothering her. Katie says that her family plans to move to another city because of her father's work. Her voice shakes a little and I can see her struggling with emotion. My first reaction is confusion, but I try to stay calm and listen to her express her fears and insecurities. I take her hand and tell her that we will find a way to stay in touch, no matter where life takes her. She calms down a bit and smiles through her tears, but a shadow of anxiety remains in her eyes. I promise I'll be there even if it gets harder than we could have imagined. When I get home, I can't get rid of anxious thoughts. I spend the evening sitting by the window looking out over the city at night, wondering how our relationship will change if Katie really does have to move. My heart aches at the thought of losing her. I realize how important she has become for me in my life. Memories of our first meetings, walks, the first New Year's kiss appear before my eyes, and I understand that I cannot just let her go. We meet at our favorite coffee shop next week, and after thinking about it, I suggest that she try a long-distance relationship if she does move. Katie looks at me in surprise but with gratitude, and I see a new hope appear in her face. She agrees and we decide to give it a try. During the conversation, I feel that no matter what happens, this step is worth every moment. We promise each other to be patient, supportive, and find time to communicate, even at a distance. After the meeting, I decide to make a small gift for Katie so that she can take a part of our city with her. I give her a necklace with a heart-shaped pendant, inside which is a small map with the place where we first met. Katie puts on the necklace and gives me a touching hug, quietly saying that now she will always have a piece of me by her side, no matter where fate takes her. This moment seems unique, and I understand that I am not afraid of distance, because our feelings are stronger than any distance. The day of departure comes, and I see Katie off at the station. The trains rumble by and we stand in the crowd, delaying the moment of farewell. I feel my heart shrinking, but I know that this parting moment is just a new stage in our lives. We hug tightly, as if trying to remember this moment. I can feel her breath, her warmth, and it reminds me of every moment we spent together. I whisper to her that I will wait for her return, and she promises to come at the first opportunity. As she enters the train, I remain on the platform, watching her face in the window until the train disappears into the distance. At this moment, I understand that this is not the end. It is only a new beginning of our story, and I am ready for anything to keep this connection strong. The first week without Katie seems difficult. I can't get used to the void left after her departure, but every night we exchange messages. Her words on the screen seem close, and every message cheers me up, even if we are hundreds of kilometers apart. One evening, we decide to make a video call. Katie appears on the screen with the same smile that I know and love, and for a moment it seems as if she is right there next to me. Her eyes sparkle with joy as she tells me about her first days in a new city. We talk for hours, forgetting about time, and I suddenly understand that even distance cannot destroy this bond. Her voice is so familiar and calm that I feel at home again, even through the screen. One winter's day, when the snow falls softly on the city, I return home and my heart sinks. Katie is standing at the door, wrapped in a warm scarf, with wide eyes and a sincere smile. This is a surprise that I did not even dream of. We hug despite the cold. Her embrace is so warm that I feel all the fatigue of waiting disappear. She admits that she only came for the weekend, but this short time seems like a whole holiday. We spend the evening walking through familiar streets, looking at New Year's decorations in shop windows. Katie laughs when she sees her favorite holiday lights, and I feel like in those moments we forget the distance and the fact that we'll have to say goodbye again. After returning home, we sit for a long time by the window, looking at the snow that continues to fall on the city. Katie starts talking about the future again, admitting that she dreams of returning here after graduation. I look at her and feel ready to wait as long as it takes. When night came, I couldn't stop thinking about her words. I know that our future will not be easy, but I am ready to walk beside her, regardless of distance, difficulties, and time. After all our trials, I am confident that together we will overcome any obstacles. After Katie returns to her city again, we begin to correspond not only online, but also with real paper letters. In each letter, I try to convey warm memories of our meetings and add some black and white photos from places where we spent time together. It's like a way to be close, even when we are separated by hundreds of kilometers. Katie writes back about how she dreams of returning to our favorite places again, adding touching lines about every detail she remembers from our walks. Every letter from her feels like I can hear her voice, see her eyes, and that gives me hope. One evening, when Katie is preparing for an important exam, I decide to support her on the phone. She is a little nervous, and I remind her of how she always knows how to cope with all difficulties. Her laughter on the other end of the line makes me smile, and I feel like we are together, even through the distance. Katie shares her exam results with me, and hearing the joy in her voice fills my heart with pride. Her success is another victory for us together, and we both know that our support helps overcome any challenge. By the winter holidays, Katie manages to come to me again. We decorate the tree in my room together, and it seems so simple, yet so precious. Every ornament we hang together is a reminder of our promise to be there, even when fate temporarily separates us. We sit by the Christmas tree with cups of hot chocolate, telling each other about everything that happened during our separation. Her laughter fills the room, and I feel like it's a real home with her around. As the holidays come to an end, we start talking about plans for the future. Katie dreams of returning to our city forever, and I promise again to wait for her as long as it takes. Hope appears in her eyes, and I understand that these plans are more than just words. We decide together to dream of a small apartment where there will be our books, photos, and small symbols of our memories. This vision seems far away, but feels so real, and I am willing to do anything to make it a reality. When the time of her departure approaches again, the farewell seems different. We are no longer afraid of the distance as before. We look into each other's eyes, and I know that this separation is just another step towards our future together. Katie promises that she will be back, and this time her words seem even more certain. I smile because I know there are still many difficulties ahead, but now they do not seem so terrible. I'm ready for our future together. During our festive evening, I watch as Katie carefully chooses a place for each decoration. Her gaze is soft and focused, and a slight smile appears when she hooks another ball or figure on a branch. Each decoration she hangs seems to create a small story, and I feel how these simple moments become something meaningful for us. When I take out of the box the old angel that I was given as a child, Katie looks at it with gentle curiosity. I tell how I decorated the Christmas tree with this little angel every year, and now it reminds me of all the happy moments of the holidays. She takes it in her hands, looks at me with understanding, and carefully decorates the top of the tree with it, as if honoring this special memory. When the Christmas tree is already decorated, we turn off the light, leaving only the soft glow of the garlands. Sitting next to each other on the sofa, we watch the lights twinkle, and I can feel this holiday becoming special for both of us. Katie squeezes my hand, and in that moment we have no words, only a sense of peace and closeness. Later in the evening, I bring the presents I made for Katie. She looks at them with admiration, then opens a box with a small silver star-shaped ornament. Her eyes sparkle with joy, and she says that this star will become another symbol of ours, which will always remind her of these winter holidays. Katie also has a gift for me, a small album of photos she secretly took during our meetings in the city. Each photo tells its own story. Walks, smiles, festive lights on the streets. I will flip through this album many more times, but already I can feel how it holds the warmth of our shared moments. When we finish going through the album, I hug Katie and tell her that I can't imagine my future without her. She looks at me, and a soft glow appears in her eyes, as if she hears these words, which she has been waiting for so long. We promise each other that we will be there, despite all the difficulties, and that our holiday traditions will remain unchanged wherever we are. The next morning we go for a winter walk, leaving footprints on the snowy streets. The city is waking up, and there is silence around, only occasionally broken by footsteps. Katie laughs, picks up the snow and throws it at me, and I join in the snow play, feeling the world become brighter with her. After the game, we stop at a street stall and buy hot tea to warm up. Her cheeks are red from the cold, and when she raises the cup to her lips, I realize how much I love these simple moments with her. In these moments, our true happiness, hidden in everyday small joys. As we return home, I notice how the time inexorably approaches the moment of her departure. We sit by the window, watching the snow continue to fall. Katie quietly says that these holidays have become special for her because we spent them together. I promise her that moments like this will happen again and again. As she leaves for the station, we say goodbye with the calm feeling that our traditions, our love, and our memories will always be with us wherever we go. I look at her, knowing that there are many more holidays ahead that we will spend together, and that each year brings us closer to the realization of our shared dreams. After the winter holidays are over, Katie and I talk a lot about the future. She dreams of graduating and returning to our city, where we can make our own home. Her eyes light up when she talks about this dream, and I promise to support her in everything, because I know how much it means to her. Over the next few months, we are discussing options to make this plan a reality. I even start looking for small apartments in the city, imagining how we will arrange our space together. Katie writes to me about her ideas for the interior, adding pictures and describing how she would like our future home to be decorated. One evening, Katie calls me with sadness in her voice. Her studies turn out to be more difficult than she expected, and her busy schedule leaves her feeling tired and doubtful. I listen to her, promising that I will be there and try to remind her of all the achievements she has already achieved. She understands that she can count on my support, and I can feel how that gives her the strength to continue. After the conversation, I send her a short message. "You are capable of more than you think, and I'm always there." Her answer comes quickly, just a few words, but I can feel them filled with gratitude. Her support is as important to me as mine is to her, and we both know that is our strength. Spring comes and Katie comes for a few days. We go for a walk to the park, where the trees are covered with white and pink flowers. The air is full of spring freshness, and I feel the joy of our meeting overflowing both of us. She takes my hand, and we just enjoy the beauty of nature and being together. We stop by a lake on our walk, and I see Katie staring out at the water, deep in thought. Her gaze is calm, and I understand that she, like me, is considering all our plans and dreams. At that moment, I hug her, feeling her calmly rest her head on my shoulder. On the eve of the final exams, Katie is feeling tense and nervous again, but this time we decide to have a video call, during which I help her with her preparation. We repeat the material together, laugh at the jokes, and I feel that even through the screen we create a real bond of support. The next day, I get a message from her that the exams were successful. Her words are filled with joy and relief, and I realize how far we've come together. This success is not just her achievement, but our joint victory. After completing her studies, Katie is finally coming back to our city, this time for a long time. We meet at the station and I see her face light up with joy and relief. Her suitcases, her smile, her look. All this means that now we can be together, without obstacles. We're walking home together, and I can feel our future becoming more real with each step. We dream of new journeys, of the home we will be able to create together, and of every day that we will live next to each other from now on. After several days of searching, we finally find an apartment that seems like the perfect place for us. It is small but cozy, with large windows through which you can see the evening city. Katie has an immediate idea of how to place our things, and I feel that this will become a real home. We plan each room together, adding details that make the space special. Katie suggests adding small shelves for our favorite books and travel photos. Her eyes light up with anticipation, and I can feel us becoming a real team, where each complements the other. In the evening, after a busy day of moving, we leave all the boxes and just settle on the floor in the center of the room, where now there is only a mattress. There is emptiness around us, but this moment seems to be the most precious. We are starting a new stage of our life together. We light a few candles to create a little coziness. As the lights softly illuminate the room, Katie talks about all the little things she wants to add to our home, and I listen warmly. Her dreams become my dreams, and I know that everything here will be a reminder of us. Later, as I go to bed, I hold Katie's hand and she falls asleep with a smile on her face. We both understand that there is still a lot of work ahead, but every step becomes special because we do it together. And this night, although in an empty room, seems like the beginning of something big. The next few weeks are spent planning and furnishing the apartment. Katie skillfully selects details to make our space cozy, and together we paint the walls in a soft, light color. Her face always lights up when she tells us exactly how she envisions each corner. When we hang our first photos, I feel how these simple objects add coziness. Katie picks a spot for a picture from our first winter walk, and by the time we're done, our story is starting to appear on the walls. When everything is finally ready, we decide to have our first evening together at home. Katie prepares our favorite simple dinner, and we sit together on the floor enjoying every moment. I understand that this home is not just a place, but a feeling of warmth and security that we create together. Later, we snuggle up on the sofa and I take Katie's hand as we gaze into our new home, which is now truly ours. Her head rests on my shoulder, and I feel like we are finally where we always wanted to be, in peace, next to the most precious person. We are starting a new tradition. Every Sunday morning, when we prepare breakfast together while listening to music. Sunlight fills the kitchen, and I see Katie lovingly stirring the pancake batter, a soft smile on her face. In these moments, I feel how simple things can bring the greatest happiness. When the pancakes are ready, we set the table and sit down to breakfast, savoring each piece. Katie shares her plans for the day, and I listen, looking into her eyes that reflect the morning light. Every morning like this seems like a gift, and I am grateful that we are together. One rainy day, we decide to stay at home, immersing ourselves in the peace and comfort of our apartment. The sounds of rain create a special mood, and we spend the day talking, reading, and drinking hot tea. Katie is reading a book, wrapped in a blanket, and I look at her, realizing that these quiet moments have become a whole world to us. When it starts to get dark, we decide to cook dinner together. Katie lights a few candles, creating a soft light that fills the room, while I prepare her favorite dish. The sounds of the rain outside the window and our quiet conversations create a coziness that becomes a special holiday for us. After dinner, we curl up on the couch under a big blanket, choosing a movie to watch together. Katie puts her head on my shoulder and we watch a comedy, laughing and commenting on every funny scene. Her laughter fills the room, and I feel that in these moments we are not just a couple, but a real family. The movie ends, but we continue to sit, discussing everything that happened during the day. Katie shares her travel dreams, and we plan future trips, envisioning new places to visit together. This evening is the beginning of our joint plans for life, and I feel that we are ready to step into the unknown together. For Katie's birthday, I'm throwing a surprise holiday breakfast. When she wakes up, I bring her a tray of her favorite treats and a small bouquet of flowers. Her face lights up with joy, and she thanks me with a hug. We promise each other that we will always celebrate such moments together. We spend the day together visiting the park and walking, enjoying a peaceful and happy time. We end the evening at a cafe where I give her a small silver bracelet with a heart-shaped pendant. Katie looks at me warmly and promises that this heart will always remind her of our special feeling. One evening, we decide to invite some friends over to our new apartment to share the joy of our new life. Together, we prepare meals, light candles, and decorate the table, creating an atmosphere of warmth and coziness. Katie is talking to our friends, and I look at her, realizing how much this moment means to both of us. The evening is spent in laughter, conversation, and memories, and I feel that our home has become a place for happy moments, not only for us, but also for our friends. When everyone leaves, Katie and I sit next to each other, realizing how good it is to have a place to return to after each new day. The weekend comes and we decide to go on a hike to the mountains to take a break from the city noise. Along the way, we are surrounded by fresh air and landscapes that open up with every step. Katie smiles while watching nature, and I feel that these moments together are a real gift. At the top, we stop to admire the view that opens before us. The sky seems boundless, and below we can see the river glistening in the sun. Katie takes my hand and we stand in silence, enthralled by the majesty of nature. At this moment, we feel unity not only with each other, but also with the world around us. One evening, we decide to spend time together playing board games. Katie competes fiercely, laughing at our every tactic. And this evening reminds me how fun and simple it can be when we're together. Her laughter fills the room, and I truly enjoy every moment. When the game is over, we just sit there talking about our childhood memories and other little things that make us who we are. Each story brings us closer, and I feel that our bond grows stronger with each such evening. We start dreaming about the trips we want to take together. Katie talks about old European cities, and I add my plans for visiting picturesque islands. Together, we imagine how we will discover new countries, cultures, and traditions, and our eyes shine with anticipation. When planning, we decide to start with the nearest trip to the sea. Katie has always dreamed of seeing the ocean, and I can't wait to watch her eyes light up with excitement. This joint journey will be a symbol of the beginning of great adventures for us. Our first anniversary is coming up, and I decide to surprise Katie. In a cozy cafe, we look together at an album with photos of our first meetings and holidays. Her face lights up with joy when she sees familiar places and memories. Each photo is a small part of our history. Later, I give Katie a small charm in the form of a chain with a pearl pendant hanging from it, symbolizing our first year together. She hugs me, thanking me for this warm gesture, and we promise each other that we will always remember this special day. When winter comes, we decide to spend one of the cold evenings by the fireplace. Katie wraps herself in a blanket and we sit together, enjoying the peace and warmth. The fire crackles, illuminating the room with a soft light, and I feel how this evening is becoming a real holiday for us. We talk about everything, about the past, the future, dreams, and plans, and I feel that every word makes us closer. Katie shares her hopes with me, and I say that I am ready to support her in everything. She smiles, and I know that we made another memory that evening that will stay with us forever. The long-awaited day of our first trip to the sea is coming. As we approach the beach, Katie jumps with joy at the sight of the endless blue of the water. I watch her enthusiastic expression and feel the joy of this trip overflowing into me. We walk along the shore, leaving footprints in the sand, and talk about how we want to travel the world together. The water gently washes our feet, and I feel that this moment is true happiness. Katie talks about new places we will be able to visit, and the light of dreams shines in her eyes. One summer evening, we go outside the city to spend a night under the stars. Katie spreads a blanket on the grass, and we sit together, hugging. The evening sky blooms with many stars, and we begin to talk about the universe, about our deepest dreams and desires. When it comes to our dreams together, I tell Katie that I can't imagine my life without her, and that our story is more than just love. She smiles and quietly whispers that we will always be together. At this point, I feel like we're both ready for whatever lies ahead. Winter is coming, and we decide to spend the holidays at home, turning our space into a small holiday town. Together, we decorate the Christmas tree and then drink hot chocolate, sitting on the floor by the fire. The candles and garlands all around make it cozy, and I can see how happy Katie looks next to me. We exchange gifts, and I give Katie a little album of our photos together from our travels and holidays. Her eyes light up as she opens the gift, and she promises to fill this album with the new memories we will make together. A year later, we decide to repeat our first winter walk in the city. The evening snow falls quietly around us, and we walk through familiar streets, remembering the time when our relationship was just beginning. Katie looks at me and says that this year has been the best of her life. We stop at the coffee shop where we first drank hot chocolate together and laugh, remembering how worried we were back then. When I look at Katie, I realize that all these memories, dreams, and moments have become an integral part of our lives, and I am ready to create even more happy moments together. One day, we decide it's time for another trip, this time to another continent. Together, we begin to choose a place, and Katie happily talks about her dreams of visiting ancient castles. I support her, adding that this will be a new chapter of adventure for us. Katie says that each trip is like creating a new story for our album together. She takes my hand and tells me that our next trip will only be the beginning of all the future adventures we have yet to have. The day comes when we finally go on a trip. We say goodbye to our hometown at the train station, realizing that now our story will develop in new places. Katie smiles as we board the train, and I know there are many more happy moments ahead of us on our journey together. Our train arrives at a new city early in the morning when the world is just beginning to wake up. We step onto the platform and the fresh air fills us with a sense of new possibilities. Katie gazes enthralled at the streets that are just beginning to fill with life, and as I take her hand, we head down the narrow streets that lead to the center. We are surrounded by the smell of freshly baked bread, and the first visitors are appearing in coffee shops. Everything looks as if the city has prepared its own rhythm for us, and we, with excitement in our hearts, go to meet it. Already on the first day, we visit the local square, where there are ancient buildings with elegant balconies and decorative lanterns. Katie cannot take her eyes off the facades, covered with colored tiles and bas-reliefs. She takes out her camera and starts taking pictures, fascinated by every detail, and I can feel her fascination adding warmth to this historical beauty. I step back a bit to watch her and realize that traveling with Katie makes each city special to me. At sunset, we find a local restaurant overlooking the river. We are sitting by the window, through which we can see the water surface, illuminated by the soft light of lanterns. I order local dishes for us, and when they are served, we taste everything for the first time. Katie, after tasting a piece of cheese, closes her eyes and laughs, saying that she does not remember anything like it. Her genuine enthusiasm makes this simple evening magical, and I have a feeling this day will be another special memory we will cherish together. The next morning, we go on an excursion to the castle towering over the city. We walk along a narrow path through the forest, enjoying the coolness of the morning and the silence. When we get to the castle, Katie gazes in admiration at the high walls and windows that offer a panoramic view of the city. She tells that she has always dreamed of seeing ancient fortresses, and quietly adds that now this dream is special because it has come true with me. I put my arms around her and we stand in silence, contemplating the historic halls and feeling our dreams gradually become reality. In the evening of the same day, we go on a short boat ride on the river. The water reflects the starry sky and city lights, and we sit in each other's arms, enjoying absolute peace. Katie says quietly that this is probably one of the best moments of her life. I agree with her, and we remain silent for a long time, just looking at the sparkling sky and feeling that this evening is a symbol of our journey, filled with warmth and comfort. Ending the day, we return to our hotel, where it is already late and everything around is quiet. We talk about how trips, discovering new things, and these cozy evenings have become our common dreams, which bring us even closer. Katie smiles as she holds my hand and says quietly that now we have our own little story that is just ours. This trip reminded me that we're not just together. We're creating something bigger that lives in every city we visit. The next morning, we go for a leisurely walk around the city when it is just waking up. The quiet streets are not yet filled with people, and we can observe every detail around us. Katie is happy to find a cozy cafe with outdoor tables where they serve fresh pastries and strong coffee. We sit down at a small round table, enjoying a moment of peace. I watch her enjoy a croissant and feel that these simple moments together make our lives truly happy. After lunch, we come across a street musician playing melodic, slightly nostalgic music on the guitar. Katie, mesmerized by the sounds, stops and listens quietly, while I stand by, watching her. Her eyes light up when the musician plays her favorite tune, and she smiles, feeling like she's in another world. We stand in silence, listening to music that makes this moment in the city special and fills us with a sense of coziness and unity with everything around us. When we return home after a trip, our home seems even more cozy and familiar. Sitting down on the sofa with suitcases that we haven't even had time to unpack yet, we immediately start discussing all the moments we've experienced together. Katie suggests making a scrapbook of photos and memorabilia from the trip, and I happily second the idea. We understand that traveling has become an integral part of our lives, and we are already discussing where we will go next time. We decide to share our adventures with friends by inviting them to an evening of memories and stories. Our living room is decorated with small souvenirs we brought and photos spread out on the table. Katie talks about our highlights with such joy that even our friends get excited listening to her. I also share my impressions, and we laugh together, looking at the photos and remembering every detail, as if we are reliving those moments. On weekends, we choose to stay home and spend the day in comfort, immersing ourselves in our daily rituals. I make us a breakfast while Katie reads a book wrapped in a soft blanket. Later, we watch old movies together, laughing at the jokes and commenting on each scene. These simple moments at home give us a sense of peace and tranquility, and I realize that it is days like these that cement our feeling and make it even stronger. At the end of the evening, we start talking about our dreams and plans again. Katie recalls that she always wanted to visit a mountain resort in winter to see the snowy slopes and feel the magic of a real winter fairy tale. I promise that I will do my best to make her dream come true, and we begin to imagine our trip to the snowy mountains. Her eyes light up with anticipation, and I can see how happy our plans are together. In such moments, I feel that our dreams are what will always unite us, no matter where we go. After months of waiting, our trip to the snowy mountains is finally a reality. The evening draws to a close, and we sit in a small wooden hut by the fireplace, watching the fire dance and illuminate the room with a warm light. Katie, wrapped in a blanket, lies comfortably next to her, and outside the window you can see snow-covered fir trees illuminated by the moonlight. We talk quietly about our dreams and the future, and I find myself thinking that these moments of comfort, when we are just together, are an integral part of our happiness. Katie smiles quietly as she stares into the fire, and I can feel her calmness and warmth fill the room. The next morning we go for a walk on the snowy slopes, and the world around us shines with pure, bright snow. Katie, mesmerized by the winter landscape, steps a little ahead, leaving footprints in the loose snow, and I follow her, watching her take in the beauty around her. We feel as if we are in another world, where every step gives a feeling of freedom and lightness. Eventually, I catch up with her, and we stand together, gazing at the distant mountains white in the snowy silence, realizing how many moments lie ahead of us. Back at our cabin after a day on the snowy slopes, we settle back in front of the fireplace with cups of hot chocolate. Night falls outside the frosted window, and we discuss every little detail that made this day so special. Katie talks about her impressions of her first day in the mountains, and her delight seems almost childlike. I listen to her with pleasure, feeling her joy become mine. In this evening, we feel a real unity, realizing that these winter memories will remain with us forever. After returning from our winter trip, we feel that this vacation strengthened our bond even more. We unpack our suitcases and place new souvenirs at home, adding to our shelves items that hold memories of this trip. Sitting on the floor among the suitcases and souvenirs, Katie says she feels truly at home, and I feel the same. This home is now more than just a place. It is a part of our lives, and I realize that there are many more moments ahead that we will live together. Sometime after our return, we decide to discuss the new phase of our lives, which includes plans for the future. Katie says she would like to expand our home, add more space for all our memories and possibilities. We discuss what changes we can make, our voices filled with excitement at the possibilities. This discussion reminds me that our dreams grow with us, and we are ready to take another step forward. Our next anniversary is coming up, and this time we decide to celebrate it at home by cooking our own dinner. Together, we cook our favorite dishes, laughing and helping each other, just like in our first days together. Katie decorates the table with candles, and I bring the flowers that she loves so much. When everything is ready, we sit down at the table and, holding hands, enjoy this holiday of love. Each year together only strengthens our connection, and I feel that this celebration is another step towards our joint happy future. One morning we wake up and I notice that the first snow has begun to fall outside the window. I wake Katie and we run like children to the window, watching the big snowflakes cover the ground in a white blanket. She smiles, and I see the same joy in her eyes as on our first winter travels. We decide to go for a walk to meet this first winter day together. Dressed more warmly, we walk through familiar streets, feeling how each season gives us new opportunities and strengthens our feelings. We decide to create a new joint tradition, to go for a walk on New Year's morning. At this time, the city is filled with festive silence. The streets are decorated with garlands, and soft lights are burning in the windows of the houses. In our coffee shop, which was opened especially for the holiday, we order hot chocolate and go out to the central square. Katie, holding a cup, admires the decorated Christmas tree, which shines with lights. At this moment, I promise myself that we will repeat this tradition every year, because such moments add new memories to our relationship and strengthen our love. One day we talk about how nice it would be to have a pet to become part of our family. Katie excitedly offers to adopt the little puppy, and I can immediately see her genuine joy at the idea. Together, we begin to plan how we will arrange a place for our new friend, choose toys for him, and come up with a name. This new adventure not only brings us closer, but also makes our home more complete, filling it with even more love and care. We bring home a little puppy, Fluffy, with big, curious eyes and a wet nose. Katie holds him tenderly in her arms, and I see her face light up with happiness. We watch together as our new little friend explores the room, plays with toys, and looks at everything around with delight. At this moment, I feel that our home is becoming even cozier and warmer, thanks to this little creature who brings new joys into our lives. A few months pass, and our little pet becomes a real member of the family. We spend the evenings playing together on the living room rug. Katie laughs as the puppy tries to catch up with her toys, and I join in the game, watching her hearty laugh fill the room. These simple moments add warmth to our home, and we understand that these fun evenings will forever remain in our memories. One weekend, we go for a long walk to the park, taking our pet with us. The weather is clear, and there is not a single cloud in the sky. Our little friend happily runs ahead, stopping at every tree and bush. We walk along the path, breathing in the fresh air and enjoying every moment of this walk. Katie says that these weekends in nature become our little escapes from the everyday, and I realize that even such simple moments bring us happiness. After a while, we start seriously thinking about the next step in our relationship. Katie quietly says that she always dreamed of a cozy house outside the city where she could enjoy peace and nature. I, seeing her enthusiasm, begin to share this dream and offer to try to realize it together. This conversation brings a new sense of closeness, and we decide to do everything we can to build the future we dream of together. We start looking for the perfect house outside the city, looking at options that could become our cozy place. Katie is immediately delighted with the little house nestled among the trees, overlooking the lake. She looks at me with a dreamy glint in her eyes and says that this house is like the ones we imagined in our conversations. We walk around the house, look at the garden, the old fireplace inside, and I see how this dream is gradually becoming a reality for us. A few months later, we are finally moving into our new home. On the first evening, when it's getting dark, we sit in the middle of unpacked boxes, drinking hot tea. All the rooms are a bit like a maze of things, but this mess does not confuse us. On the contrary, it makes this moment special. Katie watches the fire in the fireplace, and I can feel our life here taking on new shapes. Together, we create a home that will be filled with our memories, warmth, and coziness. Over the next few weeks, Katie and I are focusing on decorating every corner of the house. She chooses cozy carpets and soft blankets. I install bookshelves that will become a home for our favorite books. Gradually, each room acquires its own character. The space is filled with photos, small souvenirs from travels, and things that are important to us. Every item that appears in our home feels like a part of our shared history. In the spring, we decide to plant our own small garden near the house. Katie chooses a place for each flower, excitedly talking about how colorful our yard will be. We plant flowers together, and I watch her concentrate on tending to each plant. I can't help but smile when I look at her, because I see that this garden is like a symbol of our future, which will grow and blossom thanks to our care. For the festive evening, we invite our loved ones to the new house for the first time. Our living room is decorated with garlands and candles, and on the table are our favorite dishes that we cook together. Katie looks happy watching our friends and family gather around the table, and I feel like our home has become a place of warmth and joy. We raise a toast to our new stage of life, promising that this is just the beginning of the holidays together in our new home. Winter is coming, and one of the evenings we decide to spend at home, watching how the snow covers our garden. Cozying up under a blanket by the fireplace, Katie and I talk about the future. She shares her dreams and desires, which make this moment special and warm. We dream about how our garden will bloom in the spring, how even more happy moments will appear in our home. And with every word, we feel that our home is becoming something more than just a place. It is a real center of our love. With the onset of spring, we go out to our garden, where the first sprouts are already breaking through the ground. Katie looks happy and inspired as she stares at the flowers that are beginning to bloom. She shows me her favorite tulips in bloom and tells me that these flowers have become a symbol of our first spring season together. Together we take care of the garden, which is gradually filled with new colors and aromas. And with each blooming flower, we feel how our home becomes truly alive. On one of the sunny spring days, we decide to have a picnic right in our garden. We spread a blanket under a flowering tree and set a simple but cozy table with light snacks. Our pet happily runs around, exploring new corners of the yard. We enjoy the warmth of the sun, chat, and plan future trips. A picnic in our own garden gives us a sense of peace and harmony, and we appreciate even more the home we have created together. With the onset of warm summer evenings, we invite friends to a small meeting by the fire. We place lanterns around the garden, which give soft light, and gather around the fire, sharing stories and memories. Katie talks about our travels, and I see our friends smile at our joy. This evening is full of laughter and warmth, and I understand that our home is not only a place for the two of us, but also a center for joint meetings and memories. One day we are faced with an unexpected problem. Heavy rain is damaging our garden. Several of our favorite plants are broken, and we both feel disappointed. Katie, although upset, approaches this ordeal with optimism, saying that we will rebuild the garden together. We gather our strength, take care of flowers, replace broken plants, and plant new ones. Together, we not only bring our garden back to life, but also become stronger, realizing that together we can overcome any difficulties.